Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Wait, Are These Guys Friends? Where I ask that perennial question to this man, Randy. Hello, Randy. How's your week been?
Hey, Mike. How you doing? Everything's going well.
That is glad to hear. Glad to hear. Good to hear. Well, this episode's
glad to hear it too.
Glad to hear it. So it's funny. We're all jumbled. I was getting ready to record the episode. We talked for like a half hour offline. We do that, by the way. Does that ruin the question of if we're friends or not? Because we talked for a half hour before we started recording, and we're just bullshitting. And at one point, I started on a new topic that you were shockingly interested in, and you were like, "No, hang on, we're burning the good stuff." And I would like you to note that the good stuff was we were detailing our premier protein shake preferences. That's the good stuff, because I was about to blow this man's mind on how many flavors there are for Premier Protein Shakes. This is not an ad. This is not a sponsored content.
Sadly.
This is just two people who like to get enough protein in their day and some vitamins and minerals.
30 grams per serving, baby.
I just drank, right before recording, a chocolate peanut butter, which was a delight.
Oh.
And you see, they got a fake little Reese's cup on the bottle. And then there was bananas and cream is pretty good if you like banana.
I do.
This is going to sound like a joke because everyone rags on it. There's a pumpkin spice that I don't hate. I do not hate the pumpkin spice.
Yeah, because it's pumpkin spice is not technically pumpkin flavored, right? Like that's the gimmick of pumpkin spice.
Have you had the caramel or caramel, depending?
No, but I love caramel, so that
one's really good. And then the other one that I really love is cinnamon roll. It's like drinking the bowl of milk after you ate a bowl of Cinnamon Toast Crunch. It's pretty
with protein, not just empty carbohydrates and sugar.
So, but worth it. So, what else is worth it is talking about what we've watched this week.
Yes, indeed.
What a segue. So we. I don't have a lot, but I watched Idea Man, the new Jim Henson documentary on Disney Plus, directed by Ron Howard. And listen, I am a big Jim Henson fan, so I'll be honest, I didn't learn anything new from it, but I still loved every second of this because it was told with a reverence, a care, and also it's being presented in a medium that is for people who wouldn't have done a deep dive and obsessed with the man and the Muppets like I already was. So it's information I already knew because I have a problem, but it's really being put together in something so palatable for a mass audience on a mainstream platform to really digest all these new things and about this man and this topic. And it's fascinating, right? They gloss over the last year or the last couple of years of his life where he and his wife separated and his personal life became a different thing, but his personal life was also a big part of the documentary. Was his personal life was always secondary to his professional life.
Sure.
But not in this man was a wreck. He was a monster. No, he was amazing a person, as it sounds like, as you would want him to be. Like no one, even the people like his kids who could have leaned into our dad wasn't always there because he was busy, they still speak with him with such a reverence and love. They were like, it took a little while for us to be able to properly connect with our dad. And once we did, it was like we'd never felt such connection. Wow. You know, it was all about finding the path. It's really fascinating stuff. And the fact that he passed away at 53 and we were just robbed of what in theory should have been a minimum another 20 years of creative from him. It's heartbreaking because his output never dipped really. Even when some of his stuff didn't perform, he was always on the cutting edge. I've joked before, the only thing that concerns me about it is some of the stuff that they said he was really interested in and pushing is, I've joked about how Robert Zemeckis, who was an amazing creative filmmaker, got stuck in the mire of like motion capture in the early 2000s. Like, please stop, go back to other things.
Yeah.
I worry he would have done that. But also, he's Jim Henson, not Robert Zemeckis. Would Jim Henson have been the one to push the creativity, the technology, to get past that uncanny valley maybe that we wouldn't have thought of?
I also think he seemed to recognize, even when he would try things, whether it was Dark Crystal or other things like that, Labyrinth, that he could always kind of fall back into the Muppets because that was always at his core. There were things, that kind of humor, that was always beloved, and he never seemed to get tired of that, even though he was trying other stuff. So I feel like it would have been a similar type thing where he would have, it wouldn't be just like Zemeckis did, where he just went full completely into this and nothing else. He would have kind of these separate. That's how I feel it would have been.
I will say in the documentary, I wish they had touched on it more, but the problem is they really couldn't touch on it more because it happened right before he died, where he sold the Muppets to Disney. Mm-hmm. And they touch on Frank Oz is in the documentary, which is fantastic because that's like his number one best friend, co-worker, et cetera, et cetera. He really talks about how Jim was selling the company and the Muppets and all these things to Disney, not to get rid of them, but because he wanted to be able to not worry about being a businessman. Mm-hmm. He wanted to worry about being a creative. Yeah. And he didn't want to have to do that part anymore. He wanted to focus on the creative aspect. And some of these things that I'm talking about for his later in life, I'm like, oh, I wish they'd expounded on that. And then I realized they couldn't expound on it because it all happened right. These were plans that were going to happen right before he died. They weren't things that he was able to do. And that's so heartbreaking. Have you ever been to the Museum of the Moving Image in Queens?
I have, yeah.
Have you been there since they added the permanent Jim Henson exhibition?
I have. Good. Part of my work travails at times to have me go filming things around cities, and so when we were in New York, we went to that and filmed a couple things there. So it was
I love it.
It was really cool, really, really cool. Yeah,
I highly recommend for anyone who hasn't been, is in the area and able to go. They have rotating exhibitions every few months. They do 2 to 3 a year. Their top floor changes. I've seen some great stuff. My all-time favorites that I've seen there, I've seen 2 that just are top tier. They had the evolution of the video game from like the 70s to around like 2015 at the time, where you could play everything and experience everything. And they had detailed history of how things evolved in the medium. And then the other one, which was the absolute best one, was the history of the music video and how it evolved from like what the Beatles were doing in the 60s as short films to what YouTube videos have become and TikToks and in between and all of this. And they had displays and interactive multimedia, and love that museum. If you ever even though I don't live in the area anymore, I still stalk their website periodically to see what's there. Is it worth trying to visit if I'm nearby or something? It's really, really good stuff. Yeah. That's really all I have. I'm still playing Fallout 4. And by still, you're like, you haven't finished it? I was like, yes, I have finished it. I started it over to play other things I didn't do or try other things I didn't do the first time. I'm still all in, and it's taking up a lot of my what would I be watching time. Oh, I lied. I'm caught up on Doctor Who, but you don't care about that. So I don't know what else I could say.
Good for you? I don't know.
Yeah, there it is. I'm liking the new season. I'm liking the current Doctor. There's been 2 Dr. Light episodes, which is a convention they've always had where, to necessitate filming and budgets, there's usually 1 to 2 episodes where the Doctor isn't in it as much as the others, and they focus more on the companion or a guest star or something, and he's like weaved in throughout. And some of those episodes are all-timers. In fact, one of the most beloved episodes of all time, one of the ones that's considered like an entry-level episode, where if you want to introduce someone into the show, show them this episode, is an episode called Blink, is the definitive Dr. Light episode. He's in about 4 scenes total, and they're quick, but it's such a mystery that it's an amazing episode. But the problem is they kind of did, in a season that's only 8 episodes, they did 2 of them back to back for like episodes 4 and 5. And I'm like, this is a brand new Doctor in his first year. I'd like to get him back because I don't know him very well. Like I'm trying to get to know this character. Like when David Tennant is the Doctor in that Blink episode, it was his 3rd season at the time. So no, second. It was the end of his 2nd going on 3rd, but still, you'd known him, right? You'd spent time with him. You knew his character. So it was like, it was a different situation.
Right.
So, but
cool.
But next week, looking forward to next week, it looks like a posh 1800s British episode, and Jonathan Groff is in it, and I'm looking forward to that. So,
very
that
cool.
said, Randy, what have you watched this week?
I started on Hulu the series clip. We had a discussion about Winning Time last episode, I think. And
yeah.
And this is about Donald Sterling and the Clippers and that whole how his assistant, side piece, I guess, essentially sort of took him down. Donald Sterling, notorious LA businessman who owned the Clippers, was notoriously racist,
sexist.
Yeah. And it's just kind of a scumbag, kind of basically ran the Clippers to say, I don't care if people will come see the team, whether they're good or not, not worrying about paying for good players. And what it starts at is when Doc Rivers, the former Celtics coach, he had played for the Clippers during his playing career, comes to the Clippers in, I think it's 2013, and he thinks he's coming in to build a championship roster. And it's just he comes in and going, oh my God, this is how you run this team? What the hell is going on here? Like they just, the Clippers were completely fine being second banana in LA to the Lakers and not worrying about any of this stuff.
Is the show good?
I've only watched the first episode of it. It's I think only 2 episodes are out, but it's going to be kind of a serial thing similar to Winning Time. And so far, because I wasn't sure, because I'm like, do I really want to see like this old racist curmudgeon who runs a team and everyone's uncomfortable with him, and then his 25-year-old mistress who kind of undoes him because she tapes everything he says like in the car and all this other stuff for just evidence. But wow, the dynamic, it's done really well. Lawrence Fishburne plays Doc Rivers. He's great. Ed O'Neill is great as Donald Sterling, like and making him wow, this guy's an awful character, but he plays him really well. Like, it's really intriguing. I thought it would almost be too trashy, for lack of a better term, but they treat it feels like Winning Time. Like it's made that way. It feels like that there aren't as many quote unquote basketball scenes, like they don't do on the court stuff, but they're setting the stage already. And I'm very intrigued and want to keep watching after the first one. So it's a great sign.
That's cool. There is a part of me that it's 2 things. Is I was curious how it would go compared to Winning Time, because I wasn't sure if it was going to be as good or if it was like a pale imitation. But since I loved Winning Time, I should probably check this out. And also, is there any chance they can start casting? I know it's a different era, but like cast the same people from Winning Time from LA, so that it's like it's a cinematic universe. It's the NBA CU. It's the NBA cinematic universe. Let's keep them all together. No, that's good to know.
What's interesting, and they've tried it. I only half noticed it, and it's hard to do. But I thought in Winning Time they did a great job of. They found, I forget the guy's name, the guy who played Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, played basketball in college, was legitimately 6'10". I mean, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was 7'1" or 7'2". So he would tower over everybody else, and it worked really well. That's my only kind of slight holdup so far is the center for the Clippers, a guy named DeAndre Jordan, who is like 6'11", almost 7 feet tall, doesn't tower over everybody. They did cast this guy who plays Chris Paul, who is a shorter guard, is about 6 feet tall, and they make him look shorter than everyone else. But that was my only thing. I was like, well, shouldn't this guy be a little bit taller than the other ones? But the difference too is they went out of their way in Winning Time to make Pat Riley not look as tall as everybody else because of the height discrepancy. But Doc Rivers is legitimately 6'4" in real life. So it's like, all right, it wouldn't be that different in terms of the basketball players around him. So it looks like they took into account.
It's an interesting thing too, because it's just processing too, that Winning Time, I know those people are mostly alive, but they're in no way played in the last 30 years. People in the show, some of them are still actively playing, right? Sure. So like, you're really looking at a weird modern scenario for trying to cast that show. Fascinating.
They talk about in the first episode that one of the prime people they want to bring in, the free agent, is a guy named JJ Redick, who was a sharpshooter in his time in the NBA, and is now a analyst on TV. He called the NBA Finals last night on ABC. And the other kind of amusing part is that he is one of the prime candidates to become the new Lakers head coach. So it's funny to see him in a Clippers dynamic while that's going on. But it just, having seen JJ Redick, he's also a commentator on ESPN. So you see him on ESPN shows too. And you're just like, oh, I see him everywhere. Oh, and then now he's in this show also. It's not him, obviously, but it's someone playing him. But it's just random dynamic. But I like I said, I went in not expecting much, kind of threw it on in the background while I was doing some other stuff, and was like, wow, I'm really engaged and really excited to see the next episode. So that's a good sign. It has, I think, I don't know if it's the same people that did the American Crime Story.
Oh, and like the OJ show and all that. That was great, by the way. I loved People vs. OJ.
And the assassination of Versace. I don't know if you watched that one, but that one.
I didn't. I only watched the OJ season.
Okay, the Versace one's really good too. It's just it's really well done, and so it does that kind of completely pulling away the curtain. You know, you feel like you're right in with every intimate detail of what's going on, and they do a really good job with the filmmaking for that. So I'm really interested and excited to see the rest of it.
So I was going to transition, and I feel like it's a little bit of a format buster because so often we would do the Simpsons episode if we were going to do a Simpsons review kind of at the end. But I feel like we're doing it off the top because I think we have a stronger topic to end on later on. So let's dive into The Simpsons, especially because it's the other thing I watched this week. If you want to get technical, I took time because we were trying to think. We haven't done a Simpsons review in a few episodes, and we love The Simpsons. It just became one of those things we've talked about where we can't do it every week because we start hitting the same points. But I love Sideshow Bob, and I was like, can we just talk about another Sideshow Bob episode? And let's talk about, to me, the first almost fully formed Sideshow Bob episode. Now, you have its first Kelsey Grammer appearance. Krusty Gets Busted. Season 2. Season 1? Damn it. I didn't think about it.
I'm going to guess. Oh, season
1, episode 12. And now that is when the animation is still poor.
Yeah.
Some of the voice acting is not great. It's getting there. Kelsey Grammer's amazing in that episode, but there's a lot of evolution still happening.
Sure.
He's not in the second season. He comes rip-roaring back, season 3, episode 21, near the end of the season. This is what really sets the template for what future Sideshow Bob episodes are going to be. We already talked about the all-timer, right? Rosebud.
Cape Fear.
The best part is I think I did that when we talked about Cape Fear. I made that same thing. Because it's the same season and it's like an episode or two away. And I look at that and I do it every time.
Yeah.
We already talked about Cape Fear, which is like the all-timer. That's his next appearance after this in season 5. He goes back to prison here.
It's only his third appearance, huh? Wow, and it's that good.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that bonkers?
That's surprising, yeah.
This episode furthers some other parts, too. This is one of the early Selma Has a New Husband episodes where she would just keep getting married and keep getting a boyfriend. And the deal here is Selma's bringing her new boyfriend to dinner. Surprise, it's Sideshow Bob. Mm-hmm. The first act is kind of detailing what happened to Sideshow Bob because we've talked about this before. One of the early edicts of Fox, if you were going to bring back Sideshow Bob and it was going to be an episode where they actually have some form of continuity, you have to detail who he is, why do we care about him, what happened to him. That was actually mandated by the network because it was in an era where you didn't do continuity. You had to tell these people why it mattered to them. I'm getting some noise in the background from you. Oh wait, was that a bird? Is somebody squawking outside?
It was a bird, yeah.
Okay. It'll be fine. It just really threw me off. I was like, what the fuck is in my ear? So sorry. It just was really getting. Yeah, I don't like it.
I live in a sort of wooded area.
I hate it. I hate it so much.
Let me try one thing. Hang on.
Yeah. You're gonna shoot the bird? So, where were we? The long and short of it is Bob's out of prison. He's going to marry Selma. It turns out he wants to murder Selma, get her insurance money, which they've kind of established earlier in the episode. This isn't a Bart revenge plot. The fact that his fiance is Bart's aunt actually has nothing to do with Bob's plot. It's a massive piece of convenience that Bart's even involved, which I thought was very odd rewatching the episode because everything from Cape Fear on focuses on his hatred and revenge for Bart. And really, I think it comes back to the fact that his first 2 schemes it's not just that his first scheme was foiled by Bart. His first 2 real schemes were foiled by Bart. And now it's the revenge tour after this.
Totally.
Yeah. So thoughts on this episode? Having rewatched it, when was the last time you had seen it?
Oh, it had been a while. Probably just whenever it had shown up back in the days of reruns when you turned into syndication. Yeah, like in the mid to late 90s probably, or something like that. It's probably when it used to always be 5 o'clock, I think, on my a Fox affiliate. Nice. So growing up, so I mean, yeah, late 90s probably.
Wow. This is one of my comfort rewatch episodes. I've seen this one a lot. That's kind of why I wanted to talk about it a little bit, is I've seen this one a chunk of time. Like when I travel for work, this is one of the ones I have downloaded on my iPad, so I can always watch it.
Yeah, I think the most interesting thing was how this storyline developed as a mystery. You know, I think the writers consulted the head of it was like the American Mystery Writers Association or something, this guy based out of New York, to help craft the storyline. And it really felt like things were getting hinted at along the way, and plot lines were developing as it went on. So it didn't have this kind of gimmicky premise that you needed. It was almost as if the mystery was proceeding, and it kind of revealed at the end. It had that, yes. Especially at the end, it had that Scooby-Doo, Encyclopedia Brown, whatever you want to call it, where they just reveal everything that happened. But some stuff thrown in along the way that's still funny jokes and some good character-specific things, but a nice way to establish Sideshow Bob as this calculated evil genius that can still get thwarted.
It's interesting to me too that writer Thomas Chastain, who they brought in, was brought in by Sam Simon, who left the show early in the fourth season. Longtime Simpsons fans know Sam Simon, who had a massive hand in developing the show, and who they always say was like the driving voice in the first couple of years, but left in the fourth season as they tried to go in different directions. And so many people say the fourth season is where the show found the voice that it would have. And it's funny to me because that's also when the show stopped being as realistic as the first few years, where it's a lot more grounded in reality, where an episode like this does a big farcical murder mystery, but they take it so seriously that they consult a murder mystery author to try to really get a grasp on how the episode would be handled. I feel like when Sam Simon leaves, that doesn't happen anymore. They're not bringing in a real world consultant to help them craft. They're just going to not say it wouldn't be good, because obviously the classic years are coming, but that aspect of how the show is developed is lost within a year.
Well, and I don't think without this episode, you don't get the leap to Cape Fear for Sideshow Bob, like without thinking about that. So to establish that he, wasn't just a jilted kind of side character to Krusty the Clown, where like that motive made sense in the first one, to just be like, I don't like how you're treating me or how you're getting all the spotlight. And that just seemed like a kind of more primitive motive, for lack of a better term. And then we realize all that goes into Sideshow Bob, and this is a nice way of developing that and showcasing that development of the character.
Yeah. And interesting thing, just looking at a lot of trivia and a lot of different things, and I have a few notes about my personal reaction to the episode, but I thought it was really interesting because we had talked about how the show starts to feel more fully formed by this point, as opposed to his first appearance. And Brad Bird, the director of The Incredibles and Ratatouille and a lot of classic Pixar, he was an early staffer doing models and design work on The Simpsons, and he is the one that streamlined a lot of Matt Groening's early designs, and he actually got credit for the updated look of Sideshow Bob for season 1.
Oh, wow. Nice.
And that's just interesting to see. And they actually say that he revamped so many models that some of these wikis that I'm reading and looking at trivias say it wasn't just that he revamped, it was the model was revamped to reflect the style of Brad Bird, because that's what the show had taken on. A few things that, as tight as the mystery plot is, and as timeless as the mystery plot is, things in the episode date this episode so hard. Simpsons, when they don't reference modern pop culture of the day, ages so much better. The entire opening set piece is a reference to the show Dinosaurs that was only on from like 1993 and 1995. And it's rough because the jokes, I think, were only mildly funny, poking fun at dinosaurs and how it came out in the wake of The Simpsons in the era. now, so far removed, where somebody could be watching the show in a vacuum and have never even heard of that show, that joke makes no sense. And it's a dig that is unnecessary and just wastes time. It's a weird joke taken in a modern context. It makes no sense.
And I think in our breakdown of TGIF episode, I mentioned that in the commentary on this episode, this is the one I referenced. I didn't know it was this episode where they talked about it's basically just the venom from the writers being like, dinosaurs ripped us off.
Yes, that's exactly. I remember that when you were talking about that, and it just doesn't age well. And then also the fact that the hook of the final mystery revolves around the time that Selma takes to watch MacGyver, which I think for a lot of classic Simpsons fans, they don't blink at, because weirdly, an early part of Patty and Selma's character development was their obsession with MacGyver, to the point that even after the show had ended, like the real world MacGyver show had ended, they brought in Richard Dean Anderson to do like some MacGyver jokes on The Simpsons. But like that dates it too. It does not go well for their pop culture references. Not saying it's not funny. A lot of what they're doing is funny, except for the dinosaur thing, obviously. But it dates it so much, and what could be a timeless mystery episode bogged down by 1992 era pop culture references. It's rough. I have a couple other notes personally, if you don't have anything.
My stuff is mostly trivia, so or just kind of my running amusement notes, like things that I found, and I was just like, oh, this is really like, this is funny, or this like thoughts I had as I watched the episode.
Same. So my first one was Bart is so much smarter in season 3 because Homer is not quite the main character in season 3 yet. Season 4 onward really solidifies that shift from Bart being the focus of the show to Homer being the main focus of the show. And that really is what gave The Simpsons its longevity. I think if they had tried to stay so Bart focused as they were in the first couple of years, it would not have lasted. It couldn't do that. They needed to pivot to have Homer as a protagonist. He's more lovable. He can do more. He can function and do crazy things and function in the real world. But it had to become more of Homer's show. But that had not happened quite yet. And because of that, Bart's much smarter in this episode than he is later on. And the only other note I have here is after the hotel explodes and Bart turns around to reveal that he had saved his aunt, and that the big twist that he knew what was going on. The only people that have been hurt here are the fine people at Best Western Hotels. And my exact reaction was, that hotel is far too nice to be a Best Western. They have whatever that hotel is, with its fireplaces and sconces and like multiple resort levels, that is not a Best Western, sir. So that's that. I know a Best Western, and you, sir, know Best Western.
I'm sure that was part of the gimmick, but it's not.
Yeah.
Or maybe not. Maybe it's just a good line. Yeah, so like easy. It lends itself to the read the best way. So like, or they don't want to get sued by Hilton or something like that. Maybe that was, they knew Best Western wouldn't care. So it's a.
Looking up, I don't personally have any other notes or trivia on this episode other than just I really appreciate the crafted mystery of it all. And then I did enjoy the one joke but also it dates the episode. We really appreciate the wedding gifts we're filming our honeymoon with the video camera cousin, whoever gave us, and using the videotape that Homer gave us. And I don't know, I always enjoyed that Homer was so cheap, he only gave somebody a VHS, but also there's another dated reference for the episode of VHS.
Yeah. I mean, and then a nice payoff to be like, and then we could tape over the short I'm watching it, which is a nice, very Homer, like, selfish payoff to it. It was good. Which, again, probably completely lost on anybody to be like, tape over. What does that mean? So, but
yep.
A thing that we had to worry about in the 1980s and 1990s, but early 90s anyway. The things I'll rip through kind of the stuff that I had. I don't know if this became a back and forth with any of your friends that also worked in television, but this is one more Emmy than you'll ever win, you bantering Jack in the Box. Bob says to Krusty, we would throw that back. We both work at TV. I know we're behind the curtain with that part of it, but like I've definitely tossed that back and forth with colleagues of mine in the past, like just as a joke.
I've heard colleagues say that, and the problem is I've yet to win an Emmy, you fuck. So I haven't really had the opportunity to say such a thing. So feel free to say it to me again, because I am Emmy-less.
I have nothing further. I'll move on.
Fuck you.
Do you have the record scratch thing that you can edit in here? Moving on. That's my John Oliver. Moving on. The karaoke was a great excuse. The karaoke scene, great excuse to get Kelsey to sing in this episode. They always loved him sing. They said that's part of the reason they did it. And Cape Fear also. Interesting thing, I don't know if you saw this in the trivia, that they wanted to use Don't Go Breaking My Heart, which was the Elton John and Kiki D duet. They got, I guess, Elton John to sign off on it, but had trouble contacting Kiki D's people to get her to sign off on it, which is really random.
Contacting? Like, Kiki D wasn't big balling him and being like, I need that Simpsons money.
Maybe. I don't know.
I was going to say, was the issue on contacting Kiki D finding what hole she had fallen into? And that's why they couldn't get Kiki D to sign off. Like, she would have happily done it, but she's in the gutter and no one knows what happened to Kiki D.
The weirdest thing when I read that trivia
was paying my bills. I can't afford my rent. I don't know what happened to my career. Oh God, I can't pay my rent. Doon. All right, anyway, you were saying.
Disclaimer: wait, are these guys friends? Is a fan of all music, as we'll get into later in this episode, and defame a whole bunch of people. But
actually, funny thing about that song is, years before I did TikTok, and actually no, right around the time I was starting TikTok, because I was prepping for my surgery and stuff. I had this idea for a video I wish I had done. The fact that I didn't take the time to do it is I wanted to record a video with 350-pound fat mic, and then I wanted that to be one half of Don't Go Breaking My Heart, singing to later Skinny Mike about Don't Fuck This Up. And I would remember plotting it out on like the exercise bike in the gym. And the fact that I didn't take advantage of shooting like 3 or 4 sketches of fat me talking to future me, that breaks my heart. But I think I didn't do it because my thought was, if I did fuck it up, I would have 4 videos of fat me telling me not to fuck it up, and then I would have. And I just didn't need that kind of pressure and breaking my own heart. But I wanted to do fat me singing Don't Go Breaking My Heart to Skinny Me. And I thought about it a couple of times. So anyway.
It's what could have been. So the one part I was mostly surprised about from that song was what I associated with as soon as I was like, oh, karaoke and a duet, was the floating head doctor thing from Scrubs when they did it. Like, they used that song. So I was like, well, clearly, whatever, 12 years later, it wasn't a big deal to use it. And so I was kind of surprised that I guess it was a different time to try and clear certain music. But the song they ended up using worked really well, I thought, and just a fun excuse to get him. I know it was a part of a send up a little bit of the telethons and Jerry Lewis. Was Frank Sinatra in those a lot? Like, was there a reason they couldn't specifically say him? Like, they came up with like 6 different ways to say Frank Sinatra that wasn't Frank Sinatra?
Well, first off, the Muscular Dystrophy telethon. Yeah, he hosted that for 40 fucking years?
No, Jerry Lewis did, though. Frank Sinatra didn't.
Oh, no, that reference. That reference is referencing a very specific moment on the Jerry Lewis telethon.
Oh, okay.
That reference is an exact ripoff of when he reunited Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis on the Jerry Lewis telethon.
Oh, okay.
Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin had fallen out and hadn't talked. Apparently, this is all very real.
Sinatra did that. Okay, gotcha.
Yes, they had not talked for like 20 years. And Sinatra came out on the Jerry Lewis telethon and was like, I have another friend who'd like to contribute this year.
Oh, okay.
I think you know him. And the crying, the hugging, I missed you, I love you, that's an exact ripoff of that moment. And that was a huge moment in the 70s because they had not been seen on screen together in 20 years.
I think that's way back in the recesses of my memory now. Like, that makes a lot more sense. Okay.
Yes. Sorry, I missed the intro of that because I was trying to look up why Kiki D didn't sign off on The Simpsons.
Gotcha.
I missed that you were talking about Jerry Lewis. I thought you were talking about... I think the thing with Sinatra is more that they so often on The Simpsons just don't say the actual celebrity. They pick their version. They make their thing. The member of the board or whatever it was,
the chairman of the board. Yeah.
Well, because he's the chairman. What did they call him? Because he wasn't the chairman.
Yeah, because I was trying to think of what other one could they do, like old Azure peepers or something instead of blue eyes. You know, like what else could they add it? I got a couple more things while you do your Kiki D research.
I'm really trying.
One of the low-key jokes that I really, really laughed at was Lisa's venom at not being chosen as the flower girl. Like, I wouldn't have fallen down. Like, it was just like, kind of like, whenever Lisa gets petty, it's really funny just because she's usually such the moral compass of the show. And
so we've had an idea for a future topic that I still want to come back to, which is the Flanderization of characters on shows, which is where they stop developing and they only get their most outlandish traits, their only like main traits get just blown up to massive degrees, and that's all they become. There is an argument online that Lisa is more of a Flanderization than Flanders because of what she became on the show and stopped being nuanced and stopped. So we've talked in the past, I think, about some of my favorite Lisa moments are when you remember Lisa as a kid. And that she can talk like an adult and she can be the voice of reason, jealous, but every now and again she's like, but I want to be the flower girl because she's a kid. Yeah. And they really get away from that in later years because she's always just the voice of reason and always just the adult in the room amongst the adults.
Sure. The Chief Wiggum, after we were having a post-celebration cigar and he just throws a match. And then he hears the explosion and goes, "Oh, right, the gas." Like, just Chief Wiggum being stupid is always funny. But
oh, yes. I will always love Sideshow Bob. I'll always love Classic Simpsons. I feel like there were some fun talking points looking at this of the era, of that 1992 era, which I always forget. I was 9 when this aired the first time. You were, what, 13, 12?
When was it? When did it air?
92?
Yeah, 12, yeah.
12, there you go. So... not quite teenagers, figuring things out, finding episodes like this stick in my mind because these are the type of things that, for good or for ill, will go on to form my sense of humor, form the base of who I was and what I thought was funny. So, as this episode was written by John Vitti, another Classic Simpsons writer, this is your fault, John Vitti, you motherfucker. Moving on. We have a couple of music topics. We have one I want to save for the end, a big one that we've really got to. But I believe, and if this turns out we don't have this, I'm queuing up the music for nothing that I'll add in later. I believe we have a Cool Guy Randy album review this week. We're bringing back all the old stuff, right?
We do.
How about that? We have a Cool Guy Randy and his Cool Guy Music Corner. This is like a throwback episode from our first few weeks when we didn't know what we were doing. Bringing back Simpsons reviews, we're making an album review. Randy, do you think, before you tell me what it was, gut reaction, do you think I know this album or will have listened to it?
I would guess not. However, some of their stuff sneaks into listenability for people and surprise me.
Well, rip the Band-Aid. Tell me what it is.
Okay, so I'm going to pick, and then we'll get into it. I'm picking from summer of 2000, Jurassic 5's Quality Control.
Gone out of my brain. I don't even know what you're talking about.
All right, there you go.
Who the fuck is Jurassic 5? Oh, well, alternative hip-hop group. I'm reaching. I was listening to Perry Como yesterday morning when we texted. I listen, it's not that, again, I like some hip-hop. I can get into a few songs.
Did he become part of the New York political family in the meantime?
You mean Como? No, Perry Como? I said Cuomo.
Cuomo.
Yeah, you're right. I did. Well, you don't know. He's been dead for a long time.
Maybe he has an album too, Perry Cuomo. I don't know.
I'm so white. I'm just the most white bread, boring motherfucker. I don't know what to say. And look, I don't know what it is. I don't know what happened because everyone else my age group loves rap, loves hip hop.
So
I don't know what happened where it didn't develop for me. Everyone my age, everyone in high school, everyone in my early college, again, dropout, but I tried. Everyone loves it. And it's their music. It's of their era. And it escaped me. I don't know what happened to me.
And I would say also that Jurassic 5 is an interesting group because they take more of that. They're from Los Angeles, but they're not the gangster rap, G-Funk, NWA, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Ice Cube, and they're not in that realm. They're more Digital Underground. They're more Tribe Called Quest. Maybe not as political as Tribe Called Quest, but where they're using some funk. They're just kind of rapping about some stuff. I don't know. It feels very old school.
This is not going to be something most want to hear again. This is just for me. Give me a song to listen to while you're talking to see what correlates, what processes, so I can hear it.
I would say look up The Influence.
All right. So please continue what you're saying. I just want to put this on in my head while we're going.
And Jurassic 5 gets labeled as alternative hip hop because of this. They could be sold, and this is kind of how I sold it to my friends, as hip hop for people that don't necessarily like all kinds of hip hop, but they're a good bridge in between because they have that. They're kind of like the way the Roots were, or something like that, where there's a lot of musical funk kind of just groove along to it, bob your head, and they hand off a lot with them. There's no MC that sort of takes the lead on any of it. It's handing it off. You do a little bit, you do a little, you do a little bit, and we kind of weave it all through. And they all have sort of distinct voices that sound a little bit different. One has I think Sakir's his name, has a deep, I mean, you call it baritone, almost bass voice to it. So every time he raps, it's noted. It's, and they have kind of some fun lyrics where they just play around with the rhymes, and it's still sort of introspective. Some interesting, like,
I'm obviously not listening to the lyrics because I'm listening to you. I'm just kind of processing the beats while we talk. And yeah, I get it. It's funky. It's catchy. Oh, your boy just started. You can tell. There it is.
So he has a line in the title track from Quality Control. He has a line that's, I think, you baby MCs drink Pedialyte. If Underground doesn't like you, the media might. And I'm like, okay, that's just like, it's funny and then also kind of thought-provoking because he's talking about how, if people that are just trying to rhyme about certain things or just throwing in stuff that sounds more mainstream or just trying to rap for the mainstream or rap for stuff. But they have all sorts of stuff on Quality Control where there are certain songs where one of them's about taking you on an intergalactic journey. Like they just rap about stuff that you don't normally hear.
I remember the song "Fantastic Voyage." That's not it.
I did.
Slide. I remember that.
Go. Yeah. And I think it's just fun. Or actually, I should have had you have, or you can listen to it while we're doing this too. Dress Finish First is another good one too, where it's very simplistic. It's just a little drum machine, a little flute loop.
What's the song again?
A little Giraffes Finish First. So Jurassic, just the minus the IC.
I see what you did there. See what they did there. It's good.
Yeah.
What year is that song from? 2000 also. Okay.
This is from the same album. Yeah. Oh, so I'm giving you, actually, The Influence and Dress Finish First are both from the album. Quality Control is another great one from it. It's Great Expectations. It flows really well. It's fun. Like they have intros to certain parts that flow into the different songs. There's at the end of, I think it's at the end of The Influence, they got Sean Lennon for some reason to do a call out. He's like, "I'm Sean Lennon, and you're listening to Jurassic 5."
So he's not singing. He's just
you just it's just 5 seconds. Yeah.
I am here. How are you? Okay, interesting.
And they weave it into the next song. It's pretty funny. But
this is interesting. This is going to sound, I don't know how to say this. As someone who does not like hip hop and doesn't really get into rap, the best review I can give it is if I was in the car with you and you had control of the radio and we were driving, I would be fine with this.
Yep.
Does that make sense? Like, I'm not going to be like, can we do something else? I'm like, it's fine. I'm fine with this.
And I've pretty much discovered it, and we've had discussions before. I'm pretty into all kinds of music, but I really like hip hop, like in all kinds, and I'm really into it. And I don't discredit anybody that doesn't. That's the beauty of music, is it's all subjective, and you get to find what you like, and you can pick and choose and other things like that. And there's certain hip hop I think is garbage too. So I think I have a more comprehensive enjoyment than you, I would say. Is that a fair?
Definitely. And that's not even a stretch to say. And it's just one of those things though, where I often think about, and it genuinely confuses me, how and where I missed the boat on it, because all of my contemporaries, but like, how did it develop for everyone in my age range, everyone in my social circle, everyone that I can think of, and it didn't develop for me? It just never clicked for me. It's very odd. I just can't do it. I don't know. And again, that's to say that it's not every single song. We have talked about songs I love, the small collection on my phone of like hip hop rap songs. It's not to say that I don't have some, that I don't enjoy some, but I'm not going to listen to an album. I don't seek it out. It's not something where it's like this. When you brought it up, I was like, I've never even heard of them.
Sure.
And
it's not uncommon for me to bring that up, and then people don't necessarily, because they were kind of, I don't want to say underground, but they were in the LA scene, but kind of this alternative scene of hip hop, where it wasn't all the other LA based rappers that were coming out, and then New York was blowing up with its thing. So, everything.
Sorry. I'm laughing, which is why you stopped. I'm sorry. I went to their Wikipedia.
Yeah.
And the top line of their Wikipedia, Jurassic 5, this article is about the rap group. For the 5th film in the Jurassic Park series, please see Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom. And I was in no way conflating those two or concerned that I was finding. If I go into Wikipedia, is somebody going to Wikipedia looking Jurassic 5? What the fuck is this? I'm looking for my Chris Pratt movie. So anyway, I'm sorry. I started laughing and interrupted you.
That's funny. And forgive me for pausing while you were laughing. So, but one of the other cool things about Jurassic 5, and this was during this album as well, they had that crossover appeal so much to, again, I would tell my friends or bring, I think actually, girl I was dating at the time in college, we were, I think, visiting her parents or something like that, and we were driving to like go and get dinner somewhere, and I had the Jurassic 5 CD, and she's like, "Oh, put this in. I want like my dad to hear this," and he's like, "Oh, I don't want I don't want anything to do with hip hop." And she's like, no, but this is like hip hop you're gonna like. And so that became like the selling point for Jurassic 5 on all their other stuff. But
that's awesome.
The cool crossover appeal, they played at Warped Tour in '98 and 2000, which is really fun. Like, you don't hear a lot of like hip hop, but their style really blends to that. Punk rock and ska and emo stuff really is a bunch of crowds really getting into the bands that are playing, and you could see Jurassic 5 really flow into that vibe, and so, which is really, really cool. And it's a fun, I like understated band, or a band that not as many people, a hip hop group that people know about.
You see the quality control wiki. Did you see the paste list of what was included? It's included in the 10 hip hop albums for people who don't like hip hop.
It's their selling point, just because the hip hop they do is fun. It feels throwbacky. Like they are rhyming more like 80s hip hop, where it's just over fun, interesting beats and funky samples, and then they're all just kind of having fun.
Nice. I listen, it definitely sounds like, how do I say this? There are so many times where I'm like, I'll give it a shot. I'm probably not going to give it a shot. I appreciate it. And I don't mean that rudely on this one.
Yeah.
Like, because I know that there's been one or two where I'm like, I don't like this. This is not that. I would be fine if it was on. I don't care. I don't mind. That said, I do think if people haven't heard of them and you like hip hop and you like funkier music, simply from what I've heard, definitely give this a shot. I think this would be up more people's alleys than not, simply based on how it sounds. It sounds fascinating. So,
Mike's dismissive nature notwithstanding, so it's a.
I feel like I was being perfectly polite on this one. I'm not being There was one I just was like, I hate this. What album was that? Where I was like, I don't
think the Strokes. You didn't like the Strokes.
Yeah, I did not like. And you would think I'd like the Strokes, but no, I didn't. I liked that. I liked Last Night. Everything else, fuck off.
By the way, I was doing some research, just trying to like refresh my memory. I came across Jurassic 5 just on my own accord of going, oh yeah, maybe I should bring this up. But I looked up, Rolling Stone's 100 best albums of the 90s to kind of pick up one, or of the 2000s. Rolling Stone says, Is This It? Was the number 2 album of the 2000s. So take that, Mike.
Wow. Well, what am I going to say? What do I know?
Much lower on that list on the Mike's best albums of the 2000s. So
yeah, I mean,
which has a bunch of crappy Weezer ones towards the end of it. So do you feel attacked?
How do I get across quiet indignity on this without just giving dead air? Because I am angry at
This is my Lisa Venom and not being picked to be the flower girl, and you're not liking my Jurassic 5 album. So
Well, can I tell you that the other Jurassic 5, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, is currently rated as the 778th most popular movie on IMDb, as determined by IMDb rankings and votes.
Ever?
So, according to this, let me keep going down. Well,
which one is that? I don't. I need to catch up.
I don't know.
All of them.
I only watched the first one and I hated it, so I never watched the other Jurassic Worlds.
Oh, okay.
I do not like
the first Jurassic Park. I'm like, you monster.
No, I loved the first Jurassic Park. There is only one good Jurassic movie. The second one is kind of okay. The third one is hot trash. Jurassic World is kind of okay, but I was like, I don't think I like any of these people, and I never bothered with the other ones.
I liked the idea behind Jurassic World, but yeah, I would think that casting was surprising.
Jurassic World had a fantastic concept. You're absolutely right. And it was let down. Like, you could have done so much more with the concept of the park actually being open. It was really disappointing. Also, this is a great way to end your album review, talking about the Jurassic Park franchise. Because we're done, unless you have anything else you'd like to say.
Yes. If only Jurassic 5 had a song on the Jurassic World for Fallen Kingdom soundtrack.
I thought you were going to say, if only they had a song called Fallen Kingdom, and then it could
that would be good too. So
yeah. So I wanted to do your album second, and not end on The Simpsons, because we actually have our biggest topic today. Something I brought up to you last week, which is, what are songs that sound inherently cheery, inherently poppy, fun, but actually just have the most depressing lyrics? And we started going back and forth on some of these. And I will say that we each pick 3. We're kind of going to ping pong off of each other.
Yep.
A few things. One, I originally thought of this because I was listening to Alkaline Trio at the time. And I love Alkaline Trio. There's that pop punk vibe, mid-2000s, 2010s. Although they put out an album a couple of years ago, I think 2021, Is This Thing Cursed? I fucking love that album. I adore that album. No, 2019. I love Is This Thing Cursed? They just put out a new album this year, which is fine. I've listened to it a couple of times. I think it's like Blood, Sweat, and Eyeballs or something like that. It's fine. The catch is, with Alkaline Trio, I don't include them here because even though they started thinking me on the topic, their entire gimmick is that they are dark, depressing, and their songs rock and can be poppy. That's their whole shtick. So while it made me think of this topic, they don't really qualify for this. Also, before we get on, I think we picked some deeper cuts, but I want to say for anyone listening, yes, Pumped Up Kicks. Yes, Semi-Charmed Kind of Life. Yes, Every Breath You Take. Even though Every Breath You Take is a slower song, so many people consider it a love song. But Pumped Up Kicks, Semi-Charmed Kind of Life, we know those are fun, poppy, rockin' songs with depressing lyrics about murder and school shootings and drug use. We have acknowledged them. You do not need to. All is well. So
I would add anything Matt Stone and Trey Parker have done. They've made a career out of super catchy, horrible lyric. That's again also their gimmick. Like, the point is to shock. And
so I think going more into other songs and artists where it's not obvious what they're doing is what we're trying to do here. Go ahead, take the lead, buddy. What's your first song?
So I will start with, and it's probably a little, you should be less surprised by it just based on the title, but I'm going to go with Stone Temple Pilots' Sex Type Thing, because it is really a song that it kind of starts just with a driving guitar. And if you're not listening to the lyrics, it's just kind of, a early to mid 90s kind of grunge rock song that it kind of bobs your head and it's like you can feel your head moving as soon as, and maybe this is more speaking to, Scott Weiland's internal demons and all this other stuff, and that you could argue that's the main sense of it. But some of these lyrics are not great and have definitely not aged super well.
Now, are you going to just read them to me, or are you going to read them as if you're a Shakespearean dramatic actor? Are you going to give me prose? Are you going to give me John Lovitz acting? You don't have to. I'm just checking.
I'll just start with reading, and then we'll see where it goes. But
so well, just let it flow through you. See where it takes you.
So starting off, I said I want to get next to you. I said I'm going to get close to you. You wouldn't want me have to hurt you to. So when I read it like that, that sounds a little bit, not just a little creepy. That sounds very creepy.
Yeah.
And it continues. I ain't a-buying into your apathy. I'm going to learn you my philosophy. You want to know about atrocity? Like, as I'm reading it like this, it makes me way more uncomfortable than just singing along to it, even though Scott Weiland kind of screams that atrocity part too. So I know you want what's on my mind. I know you like what's on my mind. I know it eats you up inside. I know, you know. Yeah, and then, of course, here I come. And you're like, whoa, okay. I'm not sure what's going on with this song as he just continues to kind of reinforce this. I mean, the other lyric, I said you shouldn't have worn that dress. It's like, whoa, like there's a lot here that just it's very uncomfortable. And again, 30 years ago, not that it's an excuse, but and I think also the way that Scott sings, you may not necessarily know that was the lyric. I think until I looked it up, I thought it was like want a dress or something like that. I didn't know it was actually worn that dress. And there's a lot of yikes stuff in here on a song that I think I genuinely really liked.
I actually didn't pick anything past like 1985. I did a 60s, a 70s, and an 80s. Okay. I'm going to start with the 60s. And I'm going to go with Last Train to Clarksville by the Monkees. And the Monkees, Last Train to Clarksville came out in, what do you got? Do you know the song, right?
I know the song. I guess I need to listen to you reading them creepily. I don't, it surprises me off the top of my head. So it's in our topic.
Yeah. Well, it's not even creepily. Last Train to Clarksville was released in 1966. It is included as their debut single from their self-titled album that came out in October. I'm going to listen to some of these, and I want you to think about the year the song came out as I read the lyrics, because it really does inform what's happening. Take the last train to Clarksville, and I'll meet you at the station. You can be here by 4:30, because I've made your reservation. Don't be slow. Oh, no. Oh, no, because I'm leaving in the morning, and I must see you again. We'll have one more night together till the morning brings my train and I must go. And I don't know if I'm ever coming home. Bro's going to Vietnam. So it's deep.
I don't know if I ever looked up the sense of like the meaning of that song. So
yes, it's poppy. It's like burn down, boom, boom. It's that very 60s, not quite bubblegum pop, because they were trying to be a little more Beatlesy and rip them off those first couple of years. The last that they end the second verse with, I don't know if I'm ever coming home, do a slight instrumental breakdown. And they say, so I'll take the last train to Clarksville and I'll be waiting at the station. We'll have time for coffee-flavored kisses and a bit of conversation. And then you get to, they do a little bit of, da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da. And then he says, I'll take the last train to Clarksville, but now I must hang up the phone. I can't hear you in this noisy railroad station all alone, and I'm feeling low, and I don't know if I'm ever coming home. That's the fucking Monkees.
Yeah.
So so it's an interesting, to me, it could be anything. but it's informed by the era it was released in. It was released in 1966. My guy's going to Vietnam. So there you go.
Hence,
what's your next song?
I would say it's similar to, because it's an emo band that is known for kind of a similar to your Alkaline Trio speaking, where My Chemical Romance is very much known for being very over the top.
Yes.
But in this instance, a lot of their songs more had an emo vibe, or I didn't say whiny, but very much sounded like they were being dramatic or being emo, or you knew that was that kind of song. And I'm picking Teenagers, which is from, I believe, Welcome to the Black Parade. And because it's such a poppier sounding song, do you know the song Teenagers?
I'm looking it up. I think I do. I'm looking.
And it has kind of a rollicking, like a piano chorus, and
I like this song, and I've never once listened to the lyrics in my entire life. It's just a background song that'll be on somewhere, and I'm like, oh, that catchy song that I like. I'm going to look these lyrics up while you read them up.
Very catchy, and it is a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but it is a little bit creepy. So we're going to be talking to a group of ne'er-do-well teenagers that are acting out. Ladies and gentlemen, they're going to clean up your looks with all the lies in the books to make a citizen out of you. Because they sleep with a gun and keep an eye on you, son, so they can watch all the things you do. The drugs never work. They're going to give you a smirk because they got methods of keeping you clean. They're going to rip up your heads, your aspirations to shreds, another cog in the murder machine. And you know why? All teenagers scare the living shit out of me. They could care less as long as someone will bleed. So darken your clothes or strike a violent pose. Maybe they'll leave you alone, but not me. So it sounds like this teenage angst anthem. But the one that it gets, and I think it actually gets censored on certain radio play or MTV play. The boys and girls in the clique, the awful names that they stick. You're never going to fit in much, kid. But if you're troubled and hurt, what you got under your shirt will make them pay for the things that they did. And it's like, whoa, okay. I understand, and I think even with MCR taking things to an extent, that might almost be a sarcastic thing to be like, hey, yeah, go ahead, go fuck up your life because on this thing that's inconsequential, and I know high school can be a hard time, but still, to just be randomly singing along to what seems to be inferring bringing a weapon to school.
Yeah. What year did that song come out?
When is Welcome to the Black Parade? 06, yeah.
I was trying to think of...
Or the Black Parades. Welcome to the Black Parade is the song.
It's one of those things where I want to keep going, but had we reached the era, and yes, we had, because post-Columbine, late 90s, early 2000s, where this is the world, and it's very much the world. I was just curious what era, but please continue.
And I would say if people want to counteract this with, hey, he's pointing it out, and I want to say poking fun at, but bringing the extreme to light so that people will be aware, I guess I can believe that. But I was more taking in the complete context of this super poppy, catchy singing and music with these lyrics that are, wow.
Definitely. So I might pivot songs for my second song, but stay with the artist I was going to do for my second song. Are you a Warren Zevon fan at all? What do you know about Warren Zevon? Werewolves of London is a banger, but he's so much more than Werewolves of London.
I did know the other song you sent to me. I have to look it up, or I don't know if you're using that one or not.
Pitiful Me. No, that was my initial choice, the Poor Pitiful Me. And the reason why I was originally thinking of it is I
know of that one too.
It's an ironic song that is poking fun at his friend, fellow singer-songwriter Jackson Browne, about Jackson Browne's overly raw, emotional singer-songwriter lyrics. And it just is this poppy song, but makes him sound, oh, woe is me. But I think I'm going to pivot and go with the title track from the album that Werewolves of London is on. the title track of the album Excitable Boy. Excitable Boy. Okay. Excitable Boy is one of my top 5 favorite albums. If you talk about your desert island discs, right? What would you take with you? Excitable Boy is coming with me. I love this album, top to bottom. I can listen to it anytime. It is so unique. And this song, which is the second song on the album, really is your first full introduction to the bizarre fucking mind of Warren Zevon. As far as Werewolves of London is unique and fun and different and has weird lyrics with a catchy beat, right? And that is your entry-level Warren Zevon. Warren Zevon went to places. And I'm going to read you the lyrics to Excitable Boy, the background of which is sort of tied into he struggled with OCD and addiction. And obviously he didn't do all the things that I'm going to list in this song that in the lyrics, but it was sort of a parallel to people forgiving a lot of these terrible things that he did for so long and him getting away with all of these terrible things that he did for so long. So here we go. He went down to dinner in his Sunday best. Excitable boy, they all said. He rubbed the pot roast all over his chest. Excitable boy, they all said. Well, he's just an excitable boy. He took in the 4 a.m. show at the Clark. An excitable boy, they all said. He bit the usherette's leg in the dark. Well, excitable boy. He's just an excitable boy. He took Susie to the junior prom. Well, he's an excitable boy, they all said. And he raped her and killed her and he took her home. Excitable boy, they all said. He's just an excitable boy.
Yikes.
And after 10 long years, they let him out of the home. Excitable boy, they all said. Then he dug up her grave and built a cage with her bones. Excitable boy, they all said. He's just an excitable boy.
Dear Lord.
It's the catchiest song. It's just rocking. It's those lyrics with like your 1970s Eagles rock beat. So it's great. I love Warren Zevon. I love this album. If I were to ask you to listen to a full album, which sometimes we try to do, I genuinely would implore you to take the time to listen to the entire album of Excitable Boy.
We could do that.
I love this album. It is one of my all-time favorites. So
have you done a TikTok with this? I'm surprised. This seems...
No, and actually, if we would like to pivot slightly to TikTok theory, I often do lip syncs to songs and some of my TikToks are like creepy lip syncs of like murderers or stalker or this or that. But what you'll notice is often my TikTok is making a not creepy song creepy.
Gotcha.
Or
this already has that going for it.
People will ask me to do this, and I've gotten so many requests. You have to do Every Breath You Take. And I will flatly say no, because that's low-hanging fruit. All I'd be doing is a creepy video to a creepy song.
There's no creative aspect to it. Yeah,
There's no creative aspect to it. I could reenact this, and I bet it would do well. People would love it. But I get no creative enjoyment out of just making a creepy adaptation to a creepy song. What's the twist? What can I do to make it more fun and different and enjoyable? Like I just did, I want to get back to this. I just did the it sounds silly, but there's Obscurus Vinyl on TikTok and Instagram. There's so many creative AI songs, and they did Glued My Balls to My Butthole as this hilarious AI song. But if you listen to it, there's a whole second verse on their AI song. The song is this guy lamenting to his girlfriend and talking about these things. I made the video a guy at the doctor's office. And I realized that's not necessarily a stretch, but I had to put a twist on this song is already inherently ridiculous. So instead of making an inherently ridiculous video, I actually went the other way. Do you watch 30 Rock? Did you watch 30 Rock?
I did, yeah.
Do you remember when he got Weird Al parodied? So they had to do the reverse Weird Al to take it back. That's kind of what I tried to do with the Butthole song, where I did a straight-laced video of a guy having an argumentative conversation with his doctor. So to me, it's all about the creative twist I can put on something, and to just do a direct parallel of what already exists doesn't give me anything.
Yeah, I guess I had in my head, again, this
sorry, I know that was a deep dive into theory.
Dumb spitballing or whatever, but it like a press agent or a spokesperson for something is standing up at a podium and apologizing for the horrible things that the CEO of the company is doing, and it's just taking questions, and the questions are the things that
Randy, and I love that. Can I tell you, that's a great idea. That's a fantastic idea. And to me, it's a press conference, and now we're spitballing this because now I might do this. To me, it's about finding the hook, right?
Right.
When you had said you can't believe you've done thing, to me, it's me just the dinner, coming down to the dinner and talking about these things. And that's not exciting to me. To me, what it is it's we do this, and it's about the hook of what's the title, right? Is the title like every PR representative or every politician, it's what's the, and I love that, and I might do that this afternoon.
Nice.
To me, it's about the hook. It's all about what's the twist in the hook. So
because it's not directly related. You're finding a way to incorporate something,
make it fun and different.
Yeah, exactly.
And I've always avoided this song to me because this needs the reverse Weird Al, and it's so outlandish and so over the top that I haven't put something to it because I thought, what the fuck can I do with that? And that's a great idea. And why you can't always work. And this is not sarcasm. I work best when I'm bouncing off of somebody often. And some of my best output comes not where somebody gives me an idea and I go, let's do it. It's why writers' rooms exist. Yeah. I have a germ of an idea. You have a germ of an idea. What can we do to take these two ideas that are not fully formed and make them a better idea? And that's, it sounds like I'm blowing smoke, but to me, that's sort of what we did here in real time. While talking about theory, and one conversation leads to comedy theory, which leads to this, which leads to this. And now, genuinely, I might do this video later this afternoon. So
sweet. Creativity. Hooray.
There it is.
It's always a fun process. So
it is. I realized I went to a place. We each still have a song left, don't we?
Yeah.
So, what's your third and final song?
All right. So I'm going to do Sia's Chandelier. So a much more recent song.
I have not heard of that song.
Really? I bet you when you hear it, you'll know it.
C for Chandelier, the song?
No, Sia, S-I-A is the name of the singer.
I thought you were saying it. I thought it was like title.
Oh, I love it. It's a kid song. It's
I 100% know this song. Yeah, and I know who Sia is. I thought you were like C for Chandelier
by Sia. How about that?
I'm gonna see myself out. I know the song. I know this video.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, famously, I think lampooned, I guess, by who did it? Jim Carrey and Kristen Wiig on SNL, and then
this song is,
or maybe that was during the
old.
during the Grammys or something. Anyway, but
I can't believe this song is a decade old. I feel old. It is more recent compared to what we've been talking about, but when you mentioned it, this song in my brain, 4 years old, tops. 4 years ago, tops.
And every time I think of this song, I think of, I mean, as I would think most do, people think of the chorus and thinking of belting along to, I'm going to swing from the chandelier, just like this, this is me, like arms outstretched, screaming this from the top of a building, but when you dive into the lyrics, it's really just about this person that's in this terrible cycle of nothing. And it starts with, party girls don't get hurt, to say, okay, if I'm completely numb all the time, do I ever really feel pain? That is really kind of what these lyrics get into, which is that party girls don't get hurt, can't feel anything. When will I learn? I push it down. I'm the one for a good time call. Phone's blowing up, ringing my doorbell. I feel the love. It sounds like somebody who's trying to convince you that their life is great. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, drink. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, drink. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, drink. Throw them back till I lose count. I'm going to swing from the chandelier. I'm going to live like tomorrow doesn't exist, like it doesn't exist. And the thing about it is that, okay, you hear that to begin with, and you go, okay, I've probably had a night in my whenevers that I went out and wanted to go crazy or whatever. And it's okay. But beyond the chorus, it gets into, but I'm holding on for dear life, won't look down, won't open my eyes, keep my glass full until morning light, because I'm just holding on for tonight. And it's just like, ouch. Regardless of how the night goes, I'm just trying to get to tonight where I get fucked up and try to numb everything that I have. And then as it keeps going, it's just, I'm holding on for tonight. And that just becomes a repeated thing to say, I'm holding on for tonight, holding on for tonight. So I somehow have come to, and I need to get back to the party scenario of me dancing and drinking, because that's the only thing I know where I can feel something that's positive. And it's like, oof. A difficult thing to hear when it's a song that just feels very anthemic.
Right. It feels like a party song when you listen to it. And
which it is, but it's unfortunately the very disturbing and depressing
the
part.
end of the party. The party went badly.
And it's how do you try to get back to that? And this is certainly a way to achieve that, but a very vicious cycle way to do it.
Yeah, man. That's good.
Heavy.
So I did go for my third song, one that I worry could be included in the yes, we all fucking know category. But I love the song, and it being a foreign language song, with some people to this day still just appreciating the poppiness of it and really not understanding the lyrics.
Yeah.
I did go with 99 Luftballons by Nina. So, and you have that intro, and I'm going to do some of these direct translations from German to English, obviously. Yeah. Because you always hear that intro, like you have that slow build with the organ, and then you hear like, hast du, was du, and then everyone's like, oh yeah. And then it goes, and there's that part where you hear her say Captain Kirk, and there's, people who really don't take the time to process or know, and especially with the song We Exalted Is, might not realize it's about the Cold War, about the fear of nuclear war, about the world ending, and the fact that the lyrics are in German before the wall fell. There's a lot going on there. And all it is each verse just gets worse and worse and worse when you look at the translations. Because the first song really is about just, 99 red balloons. How delightful. Hey, do you have some time for me? If so, I'll sing you a song about 99 balloons on the way to the horizon. Maybe you're thinking about me right now. If so, I'll sing a song for you about 99 balloons, and that such a thing comes from such a thing. Like, how beautiful. Like, I'm going to do that for you. Also, 99 balloons on their way to the horizon. People think they're UFOs from space, so a general sent up a fighter squadron after them. Sound the alarm. If so, but they're on the horizon, but it's only 99 balloons. 99 fighter jets. Each one's a great warrior. They thought they were Captain Kirk. Then they came a lot of fireworks. The neighbors didn't understand anything and felt like they were being provoked, so they shot at the horizon at the 99 red balloons. 99 war ministers, matches, and gasoline canisters. They thought they were clever people. They already smelled a nice bounty. They called for war and wanted power. Man, who would have thought things would have someday have gone so far simply because of 99 red balloons? 99 years of war left no room for victors. There are no more war ministers or any jet fighters. Today I'm making my rounds and I see the world lying in ruins. I found a balloon. I think of you and I let it fly away. Like, it's all just the Cold War and the escalation of this was nothing. This was a red balloon. People were doing things. They were living their lives. But this side saw this, and this side saw this, and this side saw this, and this side saw this. And in today's climate, a song that in the 90s was a throwback to the Cold War suddenly feels more and more prevalent again. And boy, Cold War mid-80s songs should not be feeling prevalent again in 2024. It is depressing and scary and makes you worry.
I would say for this song, I knew a little bit more about that because I didn't know the German translation, but because of Goldfinger's cover of it from the mid-90s.
Oh, that's a good cover. That's a good cover. Yeah.
And could probably be entered into this topic just because it's super catchy and poppy as well. It was interesting listening to you read that from the translations, and that guy pulled up the Goldfinger lyrics side by side, and it's just they kind of interpreted it a little bit different, which is just to make it, I guess, rhyme. Interesting.
Yeah, I found a direct translation like thing. Like it's literally just how do their lyrics directly translate into English is basically what it was.
But it's similar. Like I have it up here. It's just like 99 ministers meet to worry, super scurry, call out the troops now in a hurry. This is what we've waited for. This is it, boys. This is war. The president is on the line as 99 red blues go black. Like it's similar stuff from what you were saying. Just
wow, yeah, it's definitely they changed the lyrics to make it more 90s ska.
Yep.
It still fits the beat. It still fits the thing. And honestly, the themes are the same.
It was interesting looking at that while you were reading the actual German translation, because I was kind of picking up on, okay, we're here now. We're here now. It's just like
fascinating.
Interesting how Goldfinger interpreted that and made it into, like you said, to fit the ska.
Yeah, that's very interesting. The last, not the, because they do the last one in German for Goldfinger.
They don't have it. I don't know if they have it on there, but they do the very end of it where I think of you and let it go or whatever.
Yep. But the last real war verse of the Goldfinger version to me is maybe the most similar to the Nina version. The 99 Decision Street, 99 ministers meet to worry, super scurry, call out the troops now in a hurry. This is what we waited for. This is it, boys. This is war. President's on the line as 99 red balloons go by. I think they changed the lyrics because they are so much faster.
Yeah.
And it's that, again, I say ska.
A lot of words to get into. No, they were ska. I think. Yeah. But a lot of words to get in at that pace. So I think they made it more streamlined, or more or less just narrowed it down.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. So I think though that was our last song, right? We've covered both of our things. It was
interesting dive for sure.
Yeah, I like that. So we'll wrap this up. And listen, we've already talked, both mentioning it, but at length creatively, about social media. I am on TikTok, Mike Barcode, MikeBarcode. I am on Instagram and TikTok at that name, MikeBarcode@gmail.com. If you want to email the show a question, talk to us about anything more direct, more than just a comment. If you would like to leave comments, do it on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Leave us that 5-star review. Listen, anything you do to interact with us helps the algorithm. And I know it sounds boring to get into that, but it's clicks, it's likes, it's engagement that helps us get to more people. And as much as we love doing this for ourselves, it's more fun when people are playing along. We can shout into a void all day long, but knowing that people are listening and engaging just makes it all the more fun. And we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear about it.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but is the show on Instagram too?
No, we have started adding clips. I just started that this week, to the point where I forgot to mention it. I have started adding clips to Instagram. What the hell is the name of the account? I just made it. Fuck me. I just made it.
Is it Waiter These Guys Friends Pod or something?
I think so. You know it is. You know it. Man, forgot about that. Wait, Are These Guys Friend Pod on Instagram. I've uploaded 4 show clips so far from different episodes. Things like our talking about the abortions in the movie Junior, Nightcrawler farting, all sorts of Randy having to pick between casting James Franco or a brown-faced in makeup Fisher Stevens. Basically,
it's a real Sophie's choice there.
Yeah. So I'm going to try to add some more clips as the weeks go by. There's a few there, but if you follow us there, you will find clips from the show, some of the more outlandish stuff. Every episode's also on YouTube, so you can find that at the Mike Barcode YouTube channel. But that being said, we take anything you do. And also, some of the videos I've had do well recently have helped the numbers, so we'll keep plugging things around there. But we appreciate any engagement you have, anyone for listening. We love you. We thank you. And with that, I will say goodbye from me. Any final thoughts, Randy?
Nope. Thanks everybody for listening. It's a blast for us, and we hope it's just as enjoyable for you. So take care.
Say goodbye, everybody. I feel weird if you don't say it.
Oh, right. Yeah, the actual ending. So goodbye, everybody.
Oh God, I feel better. I can't do it without that. I can't. I would have, if I was editing this and I hadn't remembered this, I would have called you like days from now and been like, I need you to say a wild line that I can edit in later. You know what we need to do? And I'm going
to give you about 10 different ones as we go and just be like,
there's an AI function on the thing that we use to record, and it takes about an hour. And I've thought about doing it because it says you don't have to do this all at once. You can come back later, but it takes an hour, and it has you read an hour's worth of words, and it can construct an AI version of your voice to fill in things that you've missed from the podcast if you don't have time to record. And I was like, I should have you do, like, just take a week and give me the hour recording. And that way I can AI make you say anything I want. Anything. I don't need you anymore. So
this is a idea. I will not qualify one way or the other. This is an idea.
Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye. Yes. Goodbye, everybody.